everyone, I'm Charlene from So Dressmaking and welcome to part 4 of my Victoria dress sew along. So we're on to the final stages now. The top half of the dress is all sewn together, collars on, sleeves are on, pleats are in. So next we are going to be attaching the waistband and the skirt. So the front skirt has a few pleats, although they are a lot easier to do than the top. The tricky part this time round is getting the waistband in. So there's an elastic back waistband, so there's elastic around the back to bring it all in, and to get it in it's just a wee bit different. Few things I think we're missing from the pattern, which I'll go through just for inserting the waist or the elastic to make it a wee bit easier. So you will need 4 centimeter elastic. I only have 5 centimeter elastic at the minute, but it's a corded elastic, so I'm just going to trim off a centimeter once I have the length that I need. And yeah, that will be it. So I will get started. I'll get started. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is attach the outer waistband to the top. So this time I found that with my last fabric, because it was such a soft fabric, the interfacing on the back was just a wee bit too heavy. Now I have used a softer interfacing this time, but I've just left it off the back waistband piece and just interfaced the front. So I'm going to attach this first to the I'm going to attach it to the top. I have also stitched the wrap in place here, so the wrap comes up to the point to meet with the second pleat here. You'll see that in the pattern instructions. There's a picture to show you that. So I have those attached. What I'm going to do now is sew the waistband, the outer waistband, onto the top. Get them pinned in place first. Then the next step will be to add on the next step will be to get the pleats on the front skirt and do the same as we've done with the top here. Base the wrap in place and then attach it onto this, and then sew on the inner waistband. Another tip, the waistband pieces don't have any notches or anything on them, and they're quite similar in size. So I have marked mine with just chalk. Let's see, somewhere there I've just wrote a wee B on the back for the back piece just to keep me right. So yeah, I will get this all pinned in place and sewn on, and then we'll get the pleats pressed in the skirt and sewn up. So just before I actually do the skirt and the pleats, the inside waistband needs to be put together now as well. So I've done the same thing here. I have marked the back with a wee B there, and then once you have sewn this together, because this is going to be folded in and either slip stitched or stitched in a ditch, there's a 0.7 centimeters stitch line sewn around it, and that just helps you fold it in. So similar to what the waistband on the floor dress and top, you sew just a line of stitching down here, and then that helps give you a nice clean fold whenever you're doing your slip stitch or your stitch in the ditch. So I have just basted the pleats in place there across the top and given them a wee press. So the other thing we need to do now before we start to attach this to the front is a 2 centimeter hem here along the front edge. So the middle part of the skirt that wraps over is the side that is closer to the pleats here, so this side here. So I'm just gonna fold over 1 centimeter and then 1 centimeter again and give that a press, and then sew that hem before we attach it. So the next stage, now that we have these all pressed, is to sew the side seams of the skirt together, so the back to the front, and then do the same as we did with the top. So once we've got this sewn, that hem sewn, we're just gonna place these one on top of the other and baste across there, and then we'll be ready to attach the skirt to the top. So the next step is to attach the waistband to the skirt. So I have sewn them across here at the top to get it all as one. So I'm overlocking all my side seams together as one. If you were using a heavier fabric, I would overlock your seams first and then sew them together so that you don't have as much bulk there in those side seams. But because this is quite a lightweight fabric, I don't need to worry about that. So we'll get this tucked inside here, the front and the front. So I'll match my side seams here first. Open. There we go. So the top and waistband are now inside the skirt there, and we'll just pin this all in place. So just pin this the whole way around and then sew it in place. Then the next step, once this is all in place, is going to be, once this is all sewn, you need to stitch in the ditch around the front waistband first and then leave the back waistband before we attach the elastic. So once I get this all sewn on, I'll try it on quickly to get a rough idea of how long of a piece of elastic I need, and then we can start to sew it in. Okay, so the next step I'm doing here, I am pinning in the waistband. So you need to have this wee seam here where we sewed the line on the inner waistband before. That's just tucking up there nicely, and we need to pin this all on the outside so that we can stitch in the ditch. And it is tricky. So if you find it a wee bit too fiddly, you can baste it all in place first from the inside. So if you pin it all on the inside and then baste that, then you can flip it around and sew it again from the outside. It means that you're not trying to move the pins around just so much. So I'm just pulling it off flat. And just pinning here. And I'm going to pin the whole way around just the front part of the waistband first, and then we will be attaching the elastic into the side seams and sewing on around. So there are quite a few fiddly parts in this pattern. I think now that I've made it twice, I might try and think of a few wee ways around some of them. Not too sure if there is any. As I've been going along, I've been trying to think of ways to make this all a wee bit easier, but I'm not sure that there really is anything. Because of the way the waistband is attached. And there's just so much fabric here now to try and maneuver around. Yeah, so you want to stop sewing about an inch away from the side seam here. The first thing that we'll be doing is, so I've measured my piece of elastic, this gets stitched in here, and then you sew this back waistband down and then pull this on through. So first of all, I will get this front part sewn here. I mean, the thing to remember too is this is all going to be on the inside, so if it's not absolutely perfect, no one will see it from the outside. It'll just be you seeing it from the inside. So I have stitched that all down, so really just take your time as you're going, pull the seams apart so you can try and get it right in that ditch there, in the gap between the two, or in that line there between the two seams in the seam line. Obviously I'm using white thread because most of the fabric is white, so there is a few wee spots where you can see it on the black, but it's not too noticeable, hopefully. So now the next thing you need to do is sew your elastic onto the inside back waistband on the inside. So you can see there, now this is going to flip down and we can start to pin the rest of it. So before we pin the rest of it, I am going to attach a safety pin to the other end of this so that I'm not struggling to try and pull it through at the end. And let's see, my elastic is about, it's probably about 11 centimeters shorter than the back waistband, so that is just enough to bring it in a wee bit, not too much. And yeah, I'll keep going now with pinning the rest of this down. So you pin it along right the way up to about here, so give yourself about 10 centimeters of a gap, then you can feed the rest of the elastic through, stitch that down, and then finish sewing the rest of it up. So we'll keep going with pinning it here now. Okay, so we have the waistband mostly sewn in place. As you can see from the inside, this is not the neatest. It's not too bad. But yeah, it's on the inside. It's neat enough. It's not going to fray or anything. So I am not too worried. So we're going to pull all the gathers here over to the side that doesn't have the opening. And then just same thing again. Get this all as flat as possible. And so what I ended up doing was pinning on this side and then just pinning again from the other side once it was in place, and removing the inside pins. Then we'll get this pinned down, and then this will be the dress finished once this wee bit of sewing's done, and all I have to do is and then I'll have to do the hem. That's going to be it. So really make sure you've got this all pulled over. I think I have a wee bit of an overlap here. I'll get it all pinned in as neatly as possible. Though that is not perfect, but it is close enough for me. So now I'm going to pin this from the outside as well. As you're going, just make sure you're feeling for everything that's underneath. You can usually feel where the waistband is underneath. I can feel it stopping there, feel for any pins, all that sort of thing, just to make sure. And take your time doing this too, because it is tricky. So this last bit, depending on how tight your waist is going to be, you might need to pull the fabric out a wee bit as you're going to stop the waist from the fabric from bunching up from the elastic. So let's go, and we are nearly done. So that is the dress finished. I should have mentioned before you finish sewing up the inside waistband, make sure when you have the elastic pinned in place that you try it on, just to make sure that you don't need to take it in, let it out, anything like that. And yeah, the only thing I have left to do now is a wee bit of hand sewing on the inside of the collar, which I will do tonight when I'm sitting watching TV, and get all my loose threads snipped off as well. So yeah, I will get a few photos of this tomorrow and get the final part uploaded. But I just think it's such a beautiful dress. I cannot wait to have somewhere to wear it. I can just picture the outfit so perfectly in my head. So yeah, I can't wait to get dressed up tomorrow and trying it on. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope it's helped with making this pattern if you did want to try it. Yeah, because whenever I was translating a lot of the instructions, there was a few strange phrases coming up, like attaching things to foreheads and that sort of stuff. So yeah, just the way that the words translate. So I hope you have all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for supporting me, and the next sew along is going to be for the creator sleeve jacket, which I will be drafting myself. So yeah, I'm very excited about that one. There's going to be a lot of tailoring techniques in it, and yes, so stay tuned for that if you want to have a wee sort of glimpse into what goes into tailoring a jacket. And I will see you all then. Bye.